Hello and welcome to the Dragon Ball Figuarts News Roundup, where I will be recapping and discussing all our most recent Dragon Ball Figuarts news. All timestamps are in the description, since YouTube will not let me use chapters yet. I will be doing this in a slightly weird order, with a combination of least to most recent and a little bit of personal importance. Without further ado, let's move on to our first, oldest bit of news. The new Android 17 and Android 18 figures were announced a couple weeks ago. Their pre-orders went live July 20th and deliver in January in the United States. These are two images of the two figures. They both come separately. They're about $62 for each one. You can find them at Premium Bandai, which I'll be linking in the description below. Of course, these, as I said, will be delivering in January, so between now and then, these are just promotional images, so there will be at least some minor changes, little cosmetic things. You'll notice that your figure in hand will probably look at least slightly different than how they did in the shots, for better or worse. To move on, first we have some of the images that we've gotten of Android 17. As you can see here, some people have had complaints about Android 17's face plate specifically, where as you can see, since I have my mouse up, people have kind of been complaining about the space in between his eyes are too far apart. I don't think it looks terrible. I do see where they're coming from. However, beyond that, I feel like the faces and the figure as a whole looks mostly quite accurate, and it's a pretty good variety of faces. I think it's about as good as the original Android 17. Maybe, I don't know if, actually, what even was, anyway. I think it looks pretty good. I think the big thing looking forward to is that it comes with two different effect pieces. The green and the yellow ball. But yeah, and also the interchangeable hair piece, just like the original figure. So while running a bit expensive for running in line with how Dragon Ball Figuarts are releasing now at higher costs, it is a bit expensive, but it fits in with the rest of the line at this point. And for getting two effect pieces and quite an array of hands and faces, and the interchangeable hair, I think, in context, it's a fairly good price, and I'm definitely going to try and pick it up. But yeah, make sure to go check out the pre-orders. Next, we have Android 18, shown alongside them, announced and releasing at the same time. So, to get into this, to me, I think that Android 18's faces look just about perfect. Any little issues that you would have would mostly just be nitpicks, and I think this looks exactly like she did in Dragon Ball Super. So we go through, here you can kind of see the interchangeable hair, a few different hands. The hands are done very well. They look more dynamic than we often get with the average Goku figure. The articulation looks good. And now, my biggest thing about these figures, and I kind of left the images before, is that Android 18 and 17 actually, in the original figures, my one major complaint was that Android 18 was too short to me. I believe they were always shown to be about the exact same height, or at least very similar, and the original two Figuarts, Android 18 was definitely shorter. You could technically pull the legs and make her the same height if you kept Android 17's the same, and you wouldn't really notice because of her skirt piece, but I still thought, like, baseline, they should usually be the same height. But these two are, yeah, the same height. Let's go back, actually. As you can see right here. Something I just remembered I can actually do for you. At the special booth event, they showed quite a few of the figures. You were able to actually do the 360 view that we've gotten to do with announced figures recently, and I forgot that they had one for them. So I'm going to pull that up real quick. There you go. So here we have the Android 17 figure, January 2022. For a second I thought that's January 22nd, I got confused. But yeah, can we get a 360 view? I mentioned this in my special booth video, but in the lighting, it makes the joints look kind of noticeable. But I think when you hold it in hand and have it in like under normal lights, this should probably look fine, or like any other Figuarts. But yeah, we get to see some of the new articulation, how things are turning out. I think it looks pretty good. Perfect world, maybe they could fix the face slightly, but I still think it looks quite nice. Android 18. Again, same thing with the joints here. But yeah, what I forgot to mention, yeah, she does come with the interchangeable pockets to keep her hand, like, to put her hands in. So it's pretty cool. So yeah. That'll be it for the Android figures for now. Remember, pre-orders up. And next, we've gotten, a little while ago, I don't remember exactly how long ago, we got to see the Dodoria, a Dodoria figure shown on an SHFiguarts specific stream. They pulled it up and it looked quite good. It looks basically exactly how it does here. The other day, at the special booth, we got to see not only the Dodoria displayed, but also a brand new Zarbon, or the only Zarbon we've actually ever gotten from Figuarts. Stood alongside in the Namek display with First Form Frieza, and these look quite nice. A couple images I got, thank you Tony Bacala from, I hope I didn't mispronounce that, from the Toy Arc. Great dude, posts amazing pictures up there. If you ever need Dragon Ball figure news, any figure news, whatever, definitely go check out the Toy Arc. They've also got a good reference guide to see how many of the Figuarts, of the Dragon Ball Figuarts you may be missing or whatever, or if you want to see their photos. That came out weird. Anyway, of course, not to scale, I kind of just took two separate images of them and put them alongside each other. But yeah, and here are the 3D images, the 360 view of Zarbon and Dodoria, starting with Zarbon. Looks pretty good. I think it's about as good as you can get a Zarbon figure to look, you know? It'll definitely fulfill your needs for a Zarbon figure, if/when this comes out. Yeah, that looks very nice. Next up, Dodoria. Same thing here. I think this is about as good as you could possibly get with a Dodoria figure. It looks very nice. Move it around. Very bulky. No? I think they did very well. They did very good with this figure. Now, moving on. A while ago, we had Tamashii put out a little vote, where you could vote to see which of the characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ would be turned into a figure next. And they confirmed that every character in Dragon Ball FighterZ will become a figure at some point if they aren't already. And first of all, it was amazing confirmation, but turns out the one who won the vote, will be becoming a figure first, is Kefla. I feel like that makes sense. I saw a lot of people complaining. I don't entirely care for Kefla too much myself, but it's a pretty interesting design. I think the people who are complaining take it a little bit too far. But yeah, so we're getting Kefla, and they're saying, as it's kind of blurry here, but the second and third in the votes will be announced soon. New information coming soon. So it'll be interesting to see who got second and third. A lot of people were hoping for like Janemba. I think the biggest three that a lot of people are hoping for are Janemba, Kid Buu, and Baby. Although I know a lot of people have been wanting a Videl for a long time, so we'll just have to see how that goes. So yeah, here we have the confirmation of all the playable characters becoming Figuarts at some point. I'm very curious about this to see what exactly this entails. See if this is including like GT Goku. Well, yeah, it says, okay, so as you can see here, all the characters that say new on top, very lightly, are FighterZ characters that have not gotten Figuarts that will be getting them. So we know we're going to be getting GT Goku, Kid Goku, Videl, Kid Buu, Super Baby, Janemba, Kefla. Which is very cool. My one wish, I do wish we could have gotten, like, the fighters' outfits for certain characters, because I know we know some characters are missing them, like, you know, Tien and Krillin, and even the 2.0s of both are still their Z designs when they're super in the game, that kind of thing. It's very little issues, but it'd be very cool to get more of certain characters. But yeah, it's quite interesting. So here's the 360 multi-view for the Kefla figure. No information out on this figure yet. And this looks to be a pretty early prototype, I'd say. So I guess we'll have to wait to see more. I wonder how they're going to do this. So far all we can tell is that it has the crossed arms piece, so it'll probably come with that when it comes out. So yeah, when more information comes out about this, I'll maybe try and post something. Moving on. Now, again, photo credits to Tony Bacala. These two are the two that I am personally most excited for, of the information and the new release info that we've gotten. I'll start from the left. A new Kamesennin Master Roshi figure in his Dragon Ball Super Turn of Power design. Now this is really interesting to me. Of course, we don't have any release, any idea for anything like that, but what we do know from looking at it is that this figure is actually more in line with the scaling of the Z and Super figures. The original Roshi figure was a bit too big to be like fully in scale with the other figures. It was fine, and like in certain angles you could like make it look right, and like Dragon Ball's scaling can be very inconsistent. It can be finicky. The thing that really threw off the original Roshi figure when standing next to like a Z figure was the size of the head. The head looked way larger than any other character, which was never really shown that way. It was so it could fit in with the slightly larger, like, OG Dragon Ball figures. This one looks much more like how Roshi does in Z and Super. Outfit-wise, it's Super, but the head and the scaling and size looks much more like Z Roshi. Now, what I'm wondering is if when this Roshi comes out, if it hopefully does, if the head will be interchangeable with the original Roshi. Because I'm thinking if you put this head on the other Roshi, while maybe it'll look too small, if it can look right, we might be able to get that Roshi look more in line with the other figures. We'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. I mean, other than the glasses, I guess that's one thing. But yeah, so that'll be really cool to learn about. And before I actually move on to the big boy over here, I'm going to move ahead to show this. Here is actually a comparison I brought up of the Roshi next to the Piccolo and Gohan figures shown there, and the original Roshi we got. As you can see, it's kind of hard to tell, but he looks quite large compared to the Goku there. Of course, it's also perspective and that kind of thing, but yeah. It'll be interesting to see when this comes out, again, hopefully, to compare it to the original and see how it turns out. But yeah, I'm gonna go back real quick and talk about the elephant in the room. Krillin. After 9 years of having the 1.0 Krillin and then the original Dragon Ball Kid Krillin, we are finally getting a 2.0 adult Krillin in his Cell Saga outfit. Show off a few more images of that. We've actually gotten much more information for this figure than any of the others, other than the androids. We've actually gotten the information on this Krillin's release date and the info about him. So I'm going to go into detail about what we're looking at here, then I'll talk about his release info at the end. So as you can see here, it's a new Krillin. They're doing the Cell Saga design again, which I was personally excited for. I was expecting them to do either Saiyan Namek Saga or Dragon Ball Super. The Saiyan Saga to fit with the other like Namek figures they've been releasing, or Super to just fit in with like what's going on now. But I was pleasantly surprised to see they're doing another Cell Saga variant, or Android Saga, both. I say that because this is by far my favorite Krillin design. I really enjoy this. I mean, the Saiyan Saga and like also like Super, I like those two. You know, they're classic. Super just with like the slightly different boot area, but I just really like his Cell Saga design. I like how in the Android Saga and Cell Saga, Yamcha, Krillin, and Goku all have different designs. Another big thing to note is that his eyes are actually skin color, just like in the original anime colors. As we know, the original Krillin figure had the white on the eyes. When I saw it at the booth, they had it posed for a Destructo Disc with no Destructo Disc to be found, which made me think that it wasn't going to come with one. More on that in a second. So yeah, as we see here, we have two of his faces, you know, the basic face and pose, and then the pose with the one martial arts hand and the angry looking off to the side face. They're both styled incredibly well. These are probably two of the best head sculpts, face paints that we've got. I think Tamashii and Figuarts, in spite of any other complaints people have about them, they've been doing very well with face sculpts recently. I mean, other than, you know, some exceptions, I'm not going to get into that. Generally speaking, as a trend, their face sculpts have been getting much more accurate to their specific sagas, and this is a perfect Cell Saga Krillin face sculpt. This looks exactly like Krillin. Big head, got the eyes, everything. I just think this looks good. Moving on to the other images. And here is also where we get to see some great sculpting and design. Also, wait. That mouth looks very 3D. I think, yeah, they really indented the mouth. I think you could, like, you see, like, such an indent in there. That's cool. Anyway, so as we see here, we have our yelling face with the new Figuarts shoulders based off the ones that we're getting in the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. This is really good. Now we no longer have the weird shoulder sleeve joints. We're actually just going for this. This is so much nicer looking. I mean, mostly. That indent is a bit odd, but we'll just have to see. Anyway, that allows for a much cooler Kamehameha pose. And yeah, again, these hand sculpts are very dynamic. And then this face is a really good one. From what we've seen with the Android Saga Tien and this one, they've been doing very well at shocked faces recently, and also going as far back as like the original Tien figure. Some of their most expressive, like their more expressive faces just look the best, honestly. Even going all the way back to the base Goku, they've always been very good at highly expressive faces for these figures, and that's great, and it's continuing here. Other thing important to note, the Sensu Bean bag. Finally, we get Sensu Beans for the Figuarts line, and who better to hold them than Android Saga Krillin. And one more thing to note, the soles of his shoes in this one are actually colored blue, as opposed to the original red soles, which I believe you should be able to see in just a second. I'm thinking that, one thing I just noticed is that the sculpt of his belt, I'm thinking might be new. As we can see here, it looks like that might be a slightly new sculpt, which is interesting. I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be articulated like we've gotten recently for most of our like Goku figures, but well, we'll see. Now, looking here. Yeah, compared to that belt, it definitely looks new. Different. That's been a long time. This is the big thing to note, is that I was wrong when we saw it at the event. It actually does come with a newer, and in my opinion, much nicer looking Kienzan Destructo disc. I think this looks great. There's a side-by-side comparison with the original Krillin figure. You can see the white eyes, the different shoes. Some people were saying that they preferred the old Krillin, but they were mostly looking at the just basic like standing design, just like basic standing pose, which I'll show in a second. But I'm thinking that even with some of the little issues I have with this Krillin, I think it looks way nicer than the original. The original is kind of dated now, and the big thing is it's so hard to find. Just getting any new Krillin is just great. And now here with its 360 view, and with its new little subtitle, Epithet, Earth's Strongest Man, here is the Krillin figure in all of its glory. Just like with the Android figures, the lighting makes the indents a lot more noticeable, the cuts for the articulation, but overall I think it looks quite nice. It's got a nice stature, it's got pretty good proportions, and yeah, Krillin, Earth's Strongest Man. One more time around, and there we go. This is also the basic pose some people have been seeing and comparing it to the original Krillin. I don't think that's fair, this is a very neutral stance, but we'll just have to see again when it comes out. Speaking of when it comes out, we actually have all the information for this figure already, because in fact, as you see, since we have these official images, that means that this is already slated for release, or at least already slated to be released at some point. We actually know that Krillin's pre-orders go up August 2nd in Japan, and once again in Japan will be releasing in January. It'll be going for about 5,500 yen, including their tax, which should translate to about $50 without the tax. But we'll see, you know, things change. But yeah, and considering that we seem to be getting a lot of cool stuff with this figure, I think that's an okay price. I'm just glad that we're getting a new Krillin, most of all. But yeah, to do one final comparison, which I personally felt was necessary, Krillin's Solar Flare. Tien's Solar Flare used by Krillin. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any official images of... Apparently, I forgot this. There are no official images of the original Tien doing a Solar Flare, oddly enough. And my Tien is, let's just say, undergoing maintenance right now. So instead I got the 2.0 Tien, so you can do a quick comparison of these different Solar Flares between the original Krillin on the left, 2.0 Tien on the right, and 2.0, or what some people have been calling 3.0 Krillin in the middle. So yeah, you know, one complaint that's... And one thing with this figure just also goes between it and Kid Gohan is the lack of a smiling face, which is a bit odd. And also, from just these images here, a lack of like the closed eyes face. That's not something I've been seeing people talk about. That is something. So it has a couple less than the original Krillin, but whatever, we can get by that. But yeah, it's interesting that Krillin doesn't come with a smiling face, with it being Krillin. especially since you also have like Tien over here with that smirking face. But beyond that, the facial expressions are very good. It's got good accessories, and this will be a very fun figure. And now moving on to our last bits of information. At the event, we actually got to see this display here of all the different 2.0 style Figuarts boxes. They kind of just erased the first part of their history. There's no 1.0 boxes here, which is hilarious to me. But the big thing is, and if you can maybe already tell here, we actually got to see a couple new boxes. Some that I believe we've never seen before. We got to see the Bulma box, the Super Saiyan 4 Goku box, the new Tien, and the new Launch. I say that these are like some of the new boxes because a couple of the ones there I couldn't completely remember if we'd seen before, but I think that we had, so I'm just including these. But yeah, it's very good to see. It's very cool to see these now. I just kind of wish we could actually get a better image of them. I had to just take a screenshot from the tour. But yeah, this is very cool. To end things off, I'd like to talk a little bit about the future of Figuarts, just a small bit, in that we got to see this lineup display again of the Android Saga Z Fighters from the opening, in that same order. And so now, out of all these figures up here, the only two left that have not either been announced or shown in any way outside of this are this Vegeta and this Yamcha. Two figures that I really want to see get announced. These two are, I just think they're amazing. These two look like some of the most accurate Figuarts that we've, I think, ever seen. So that Vegeta is the best looking Vegeta, bar basically none. The only one that I think comes close is God Vegeta, you know, the blue God Vegeta from the Broly movie. But like, we still don't know any release dates on those two, so I'm really just waiting. I hope we get to see them. They're really cool looking figures. And one thing to note, we got to see, last time we saw this display, they included the old Krillin. Now they're including the new one. Maybe that's foreshadowing, hopefully, that we're going to get a 2.0 Trunks soon. Because now that's the only odd one out. Like, this Trunks is old enough that it wasn't even on like the box display that they have it up here. And also, if they're going for a completely accurate like look for the opening, they're gonna need to have a Trunks without the jacket. Hopefully we can get one that like where you can like have the jacket on or off, but they're gonna need to do that if they want to be completely right. And so, this has been the Dragon Ball Figuarts News Roundup for July 25th, 2021. I hope you all enjoyed. If there's any new big Figuarts news in the coming days or in the coming weeks and months, I'll be trying to put up more and more of these as time goes on. Anyway, I hope you all have a good day, good morning, good night, good anything, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.